Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League, from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered, from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
What is up? Welcome into the GSMC Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Dougherty. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. It is Monday. We had another great weekend of Major League Baseball and some great baseball action. Unfortunately, yesterday we were deprived of our Shohei Ohtani sighting, our weekly Shohei Ohtani start. He starts every Sunday. He used to start every Sunday. I guess now he's going to be probably starting every Tuesday. We had about 6 games. So the Yankees and Tigers were trying to play a doubleheader yesterday, and then also games Cleveland, Minnesota, Kansas City, and Chicago, all throughout that Midwest area of our great nation, were rained out or snowed out or iced out, however you want to be. I know there was icicles at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. That's where Ohtani was meant to start on Sunday afternoon against the Royals. However, his start now will be pushed back, and he'll start tomorrow, Tuesday, against the Red Sox in Los Angeles. We'll probably have no chance of being rained out there, as it's very sunny in LA right now. A nice balmy 75 degrees in Los Angeles right now. So we'll probably get our Ohtani fix on tomorrow on Tuesday. So again, against the Red Sox as well. That's going to be a good matchup. I'll be getting into that throughout this segment. However, I do want to go over and use this first segment to kind of recap this weekend. Second segment, we're going to talk about Noah Sydergaard and his great start to the season. I mean, he's on a mission this year. I think last year was a little short-changed due to the injuries he had to deal with. This season he's come out. He's throwing an absolutely nasty changeup. I mean, I've seen highlights and videos, and you guys go look it up on Instagram and Twitter and all this stuff. Look up how much his changeup and his two-seam moves. I mean, he's throwing pitches that these guys haven't even seen before, or aren't ready for. So, yeah, just go look at that. All right, we'll get into that in the second segment. Third segment, we're going to do a little forecast for this week, some matchups, probably talk a little more Ohtani and the Red Sox. And then last segment, we'll just kind of figure it out as we go, talk maybe just a little more about different games that are going on, or maybe the outlook for the whole season, which teams have gotten off to hot starts, and who's due to keep those starts going, or who's going to regress down a little bit. So we'll get to that when we get to in that fourth segment. But until then, first segment, we're talking about the games that happened yesterday and on Saturday, since I saw you last on Friday. All right, so on Saturday, we had a full slate of baseball games. No weather issues, I don't believe, on Saturday. So, Sunday, that was pretty nasty. There was some weather stuff. Of course there was. That Midwest is getting just downpour right now. So, and it's cold. It's like ice storms. So, I mean, Detroit, Minnesota, and in Cleveland, there was rain delays. Yeah, so we're not able to do that. So, I mean, we'll get to the rest of the games that were going on. All right. Starting in Los Angeles, the Diamondbacks and Dodgers had a weekend series this past weekend. Dodgers are having some troubles. Arizona looks like they are due. They'll probably be one of the teams we're talking about in that third segment. They are due for a good run this year. They're due for a good run because they are playing well. They got the pitching finally figured out. Greinke, we'll see if he could stay healthy. I know he kind of was cringing a little bit in his last start, I think, but they were looking at him during that last start, but I don't think that there's really much to worry about there regarding their pitching staff. They had Zach Godley, who's throwing a really nice curveball. I mean, he's got some nasty stuff, carved with the Giants in his last start, and then you have, of course, Patrick Corbin on the top of that rotation. He's a great lefty. I mean, he's got some nasty stuff, basically three-pitch guy, slider, fastball, changeup, and he's got that sweeping slider from the left side, so watch out lefties. I mean, if you get a team maybe with some righties to stack up against him, you can try and figure him out. But other than that, he's had a couple great starts his last two outings. So to go over this game on Saturday, Diamondbacks took this one from the Dodgers 9-1. Taijuan Walker started for the Diamondbacks, only lasted about 2 innings. I don't know if it was injury or he was having some issues, but he came out only after 2 innings. I can only imagine what was going on. He was definitely got hurt in that 3rd inning, so he came out and they put in McFarland. He pitched a nice 4 innings in relief, only allowed 2 hits, no runs, 1 strikeout, got the win in a 9-1 victory for the Diamondbacks. Home runs from Paul Goldschmidt, A.J. Pollock, and Alex Avila. All right. Dodgers not looking too hot right now as they got a win yesterday. We'll get to that, but they're not looking too hot as they're still sitting near the bottom of that NL West, but it's early, of course. All right, out in Miami, Pittsburgh got a nice little win. They got a shutout victory, and they scored that run in the 9th inning. It was a 1-0 win. They scored the run in the 9th inning with a couple of bunt singles in that 9th inning to get them that win. But it was Jamison Tyone yet again with a nice start. I mean, he only went 6, did not get the win. It was because he didn't get any run support, but went 6 innings, allowed no runs on 4 hits, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts for Tyone as he keeps his ERA at a cool .89 on the season. Let's see. He was at 93 pitches, so he was pretty much done after that 6th inning. As you see now, these guys are just on, especially these young guys. They're on the pitch count. We'll even get to it with Syndergaard for yesterday. I'll talk about it on the next segment. These guys are on pitch counts. No matter how nasty their stuff is, these guys only lasting a few 6 innings because that's how good the bullpens are these days for these a lot of these players. All right, getting to one of the better matchups on Saturday. Cubs played at home against Atlanta. They got a game in the frigid cold in at the friendly confines in North Chicago at Wrigley Field. It was an interesting game though. The Cubs were down, I believe, 10-2. Yeah, they're down 10-2 going into the 5th inning or into the 6th inning. They scored 1 to make it 10-3 in the 6th. Then proceeded to score 2 in the 7th, and then 9 runs in the 9th inning. I mean, that's talk about an implosion right there for the Braves pitching staff. That's a tough one. So tough one to swallow as you're up by 5 runs going into the 9th inning. You think you could probably finish that one out and get the win, but no, not to be done as the Cubs were able to pull that one out. One of their biggest comebacks. I think ESPN came out and said they had a 0.6% chance of winning that game. As you know, ESPN always like to do their little game score predictions on what's going on. But yeah, they only pitched. They only had a 0.6 chance of winning that game, and they came back. They came back and won that game. A big double was of course, Javier Baez, our favorite player here on this show. Javier Baez, big swing, and Javier Baez got a big clutch RBI double to knock in the tying runs in that 9th inning. So Cubs came back, got that one. Over in Houston, that big all-Texas rivalry going on this weekend. We'll get to some stuff about them. Continuing with the next game, let's talk about yesterday, and Saturday's game, because Saturday's game was Charlie Morton and Zach Minor. I mean, these guys, or Mike Minor, Mike Minor and Charlie Morton. They went on Saturday, but the big matchup for this series was definitely yesterday. It was on Sunday Night Baseball, of course, and it was Bartolo Colon, the ageless one, pitching for the Rangers. He had a no-hitter going through. He had a perfect game actually going through 6. Had a no-hitter going into the 7th, or perfect into the 8th. So I mean, he was this guy's ageless wonder. I mean, he feels his position. He throws strikes. He's got some of the most movement I've seen on a 2-seam fastball in a long time. So you have to give him some credit. And he went up against Justin Verlander, who also pitched very well. Justin went 8, only allowed 1 hit, 1 run, 1 walk, struck out 11, and only the 1 run was on a home run by Robinson Chirinos. So, but he was outdueled by the ageless wonder and what everybody likes to call Big Sexy. That's his nickname all across Major League Baseball. His nickname is Big Sexy. I mean, this is Bartolo Colon, who's just been on, I think, every single team now these days, it seems like. in Major League Baseball. Seems to always get that 1-year contract or something. But he earned it. Look, he went 7 2/3 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. I mean, he still can throw in the low 90s. Still got that nice little 2-seam fastball. Got a good curveball. Struck out the MVP, Jose Altuve, twice yesterday. So I just wanted to get to that really quick. That was the game yesterday, Rangers and Astros. Just to highlight that, I just couldn't wait on the show this morning to get to Bartolo Colon's outing because he was just pretty fabulous on Sunday night on ESPN on the big stage. All right, back to the Saturday games. We'll get to the rest of the Sunday games. We only had a limited slate on Sunday due to all those rainouts I was talking about. But Saturday we had a few more. All right. So Mets, they were saddled with only their second loss of the season. Too bad. So sad for the Mets. Second loss of the season coming this deep into 2.5 weeks into the season already. Chase Anderson pitched very well for the Brewers against Matt Harvey, who took the loss. Anderson went 6 1/3 innings, only allowing 1 run on 2 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. So you got to like that if you are the Brewers going forward. Matt Harvey, not so much. Only 5 innings, allowed 4 runs on 8 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts to give up 2 home runs to VR, and then Jet Bandy went deep off of him as well. So, I've been talking about Matt Harvey a lot on this show because he's been able to pitch pretty well starting the season off because he's been sitting in that third slot in the lineup or in the rotation behind DeGrom, and then the title man for our show today, Noah Sydergaard. But sometimes it comes back to bite you, and you get a team that is swinging the bats pretty well, and that's a pretty good lineup there for the Brewers, as they've kind of beefed it up a little bit or a lot of it over this offseason. Christian Yelich didn't even play on Saturday, so you gotta like that if you're the Brewers. All right, anything else that is worth noting on Saturday? Red Sox crushing the Baltimore Orioles on Saturday afternoon. Put a nice little 10 spot on them. Henry Ramirez went deep. JD Martinez hit a 3rd home run in a Red Sox uniform, and that's about it. Okay. All right, let's get to Sunday. Sunday. We had a walk-off home run. Mets got back in the win column. Wilmer Flores. And if you guys don't know who Wilmer Flores is, this is the guy who, I think it was 2 seasons, not last season, but the season before, I'm pretty sure, he was going to be traded to the Brewers, I want to say, for a player who did not pass their physical he was traded to the Brewers. Who was it for? I'll figure that. I'll remember. It'll come to me. He was traded to the Brewers. The deal was already agreed upon. The Brewers player had to pass his physical and did not pass his physical. So Wilmer Flores got to stay on the Mets. And I remember, if you guys don't remember, he was crying and all that good stuff. It was pretty emotional. This guy was about to leave the team that he's been on his whole career, and it was all of a sudden just flip switched, and did not have to leave. So he's doing pretty well now. You could say that because he was able to walk off the very Brewers on yesterday, so he was able to walk them off with a line drive home run over the left field wall in left field. I'm trying to find out who he was traded to as I'm talking here, but it's not a big deal because he didn't get traded, so it's not don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I always remember that because it was all over MLB Network and ESPN and stuff like, oh my God, he didn't get traded, he almost got traded, so not a big deal. All right, continuing on with those games. That was a Syndergaard start. We'll get to Syndergaard in the next segment, some more about him, but I'll give you his stat line for yesterday's game. He went 5 1/3 innings, allowed 1 run on 2 hits, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. And I urge you to go look at those 11 strikeouts because they were all nasty in their own way. Whether it was looking, swinging. This guy gets some of the most swing and misses I've ever seen because his pitches he basically throws like a left-handed slider. The guy's right-handed. He throws a 2-seamer or something to change, or it's a change up, whatever you want to say. I think it's a circle change up because that's how it comes out of a right-hander's hand. If you know what a circle change up is, you hold that ball and you have a circle. You make a circle with your pointer finger and your thumb. So it's on the left. So if you're right-hander, that's on the left side of the ball. The ball come out of the right side with your ring finger being the last finger to touch the ball. So it kind of comes out and it'll fade off to the right into a right-handed batter from a right-handed pitcher. And his moves so much it almost looks like it's a left-handed slider, which is the same kind of break. So I urge you to go look at those highlights because if you'd like good pitching, I urge you to do that because those are some nasty pitches. But he got saddled with a no decision, but his team did get the win in the bottom of the 9th inning. And Mets continue to roll as they are now, I believe, 12-2 on the season. All right, continuing on, we had a good little pitching duel in Boston. Baltimore was one of the highlighted starts and matchups I talked about on Friday. Dylan Bundy against Chris Sale. Both got their pitch counts run up. That's what I was talking about Syndergaard. Syndergaard's pitch count got run up early, so he only went that 5 1/3 inning because he was already at 101 pitches. So, I mean, you're not seeing guys really, especially this early in the season, you're not really going to see guys run their pitch counts over 110 or so. Maybe as the season wears on and players' arms are definitely lengthened out, and that's kind of how it works these days. And again, like I said, the bullpens are so good, so why not just take them out instead of having them face the line? I mean, that's also the whole analytics part of it is the fact that these managers now have all this data saying that so many times through the lineup. So you face a guy first 2 times through the lineup, third time through the lineup, you're going to have a little more time against him. You're going to be able to see him, pick up his timing, see which pitches are working for him, how his movement is. I mean, no matter how nasty a guy is, guys make mistakes all the time, and that's how you get hit. So they've seen that third time through the lineup is a not as good. Obviously, the guys get hit. The ERAs balloon up a little bit that third time through the lineup. So you definitely want to try and get a new arm out there and get a new look for those hitters, try and get them off balance and don't give them the same thing they've already been seeing for the previous of the game. Unless the guy's obviously dealing. But still, you've seen, we talk about this Red Sox game. Chris Sale went 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 run on 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, or 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. I mean, that's a good outing. He only went 5 innings, though. I mean, usually you see a nice little 7 on there, maybe 6 2/3 innings. I mean, he only had 93 pitches. Why not let him why not let him go? Because you have a guy like Keith Hembry who can come out there and pitch 2 innings for you and only give up 1 hit and strike out 2 guys. And what's 1 base runner in 2 innings? So, I mean, these bullpen guys are just so good now where you're putting less and less stress, especially early in the season, on your starting pitching. I mean, we'll definitely see those numbers probably go up. We'll probably see more guys lengthen their arms out, lengthen their starts out as we get continuing out through the season. On the other side, you have Dylan Bundy go 5 2/3 innings, allowing 1 run or 3 runs. Only one of them was earned on 7 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. So he got kind of Scrooged on that one because he got 2 unearned runs, whether it was off of an error or usually it's off an error. So got to hang tough with that one with Dylan Bundy as he was battling against a tough left-hander in Chris Sale, a veteran, against the young guy. And especially with Dylan Bundy, who also he was at 94 pitches when he came out of the game, may have walked the guy, and they got the hook. So looks like they are going to keep on rolling with him. The Red Sox looking pretty good as they start off this season. The Yankees did not get to play yesterday, so I can't really talk about it. They had 2 games. They got both. They didn't get to play yesterday or the day before. Sorry, Yankee fans. Sorry. All right, out in Oakland, I'm just looking at some of these lower scoring games because I wanted to highlight. This is a pitching. We're talking pitching on this show a lot. I like pitching. I'm a pitcher, so I know the home runs are all the sexy rays, but so are strikeouts. Strikeouts are fun too because you get to see people look foolish. All right, A's beat the Mariners 2-1. Sean Bonilla, there's a 7 innings. He pitched very well as he went. Look at that's how you go. That's how you go 7 innings right there. 7 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. The only one he gave up was a home run by Motter. So young guy, he's actually a good little player, Motter, for the Mariners. His first home run of the year. So if you're Sean Manaea, you went 7 innings. Guess how many pitches he threw? Only 89. Just 89 pitches. Very economical there and efficient for Sean Manaea for the A's. And that's how you go. That's how you go 7 innings right there. And then on the other side, you have the tough luck loser in Felix Hernandez, going 6 1/3 innings, allowed 2 runs on 5 hits, 7 strikeouts to give up a home run to Judd Lowry. So if you're just got to be, that was a 2-run homer. That's basically what got him right there. Judd Lowry, I mean, you know you're pitching pretty well. That's the difference between pitching pretty well and not pitching pretty well. As we are flying through this first segment and not even realizing how far we are. But I'm going to wrap it up right there as we just talk baseball. And that's what happened when I talk baseball. But that's pretty much it, honestly. We went through a lot of the games I talked about. All right, we're back.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, welcome back. We had a bit of a long segment on that first one. We're just going through all of our scores. We're talking baseball. I mean, come on. What's wrong with that? It's all right. All right, this next segment is going to be about Noah Sydergaard and his nasty changeup. Or whatever. I mean, some guys is a two-seamer. I'm pretty sure he throws like 88 miles an hour. I mean, this thing, it moves, like I said, left-handed slider. I talked about it on the first season. I was kind of describing it to everybody, the kind of the grip. So if you hold the baseball and you look at those seams as a pitcher, you kind of that's how you're going to get your movement. So you got to work those seams. I even saw a slow motion of him throwing, and he throws a circle changeup. You could see how it comes out of his hand, and he really gets it to come out of the side of his hand where it's going to just come and use that run. So when it's run is when it runs the arm side. So if you're a right-hander and the ball moves to the right into the right-handed batter, that's a run. Versus slide is the opposite direction. So if you're your glove side. So if you're a right-handed pitcher and you throw a slider, like he does too, and it goes into the lefty away from the righty, that is slide. So run and slide. That's if I'm going to just explain that when I use my little baseball terminology there. But no, yeah, he with Syndergaard, I think he only walked. How many walked? 2 guys, what I say? He pitched really well. 11 strikeouts. Yeah, only 1 walk. So, I mean, he must have get those. You got to hand it to the Brewers there. They stayed in that game. Did get the loss at the end of the game due to that walk-off homer. But you got to hand it to the Brewers. I mean, that's how you're going to beat a guy like that. If you just keep swinging. I know the one thing about the whole knock on strikeouts is that they do run up your pitch count. When you have 11 strikeouts, you need 3 pitches. You need 3 pitches at least to get a strikeout. And versus if you're a contact guy, like we saw with Sean Manaea, who only struck out 4 guys, went 7 innings, only threw 89 pitches because you're going to pitch to contact. You're going to have pitches that are going to look good to hit, but then drop just a little bit, miss the sweet spot of the bat, and you get lots of ground balls, easy fly balls, pop-ups, what have you. So that's like effectively pitching economically versus being a power pitcher like Syndergaard and a guy who is going to be striking you out a lot and running up his pitch count because of those strikeouts. So it's all fun because baseball is cool and you want to be able to strike a lot of people out. Like I said, strikeouts are cool. As much as home runs are cool, you want to be able to strike people out and make them look silly because that's what Syndergaard does a lot. I mean, go look at his highlights from yesterday. I love when they put these highlights on here. They give you all the strikeouts all in one little highlight. So let's see how many swing and miss strikeouts he had. All right, that's nasty. That's a fastball. I mean, when you could throw 98 on the inside corner, I'm sorry, that's hard. There's a swing and strikeout. 98 on the inside corner, that's not fair. That's not fair. He's striking guys out with fastballs right now. I mean, when that's your put away pitch is your 97 mile an hour fastball, and then boom, slider at 98. That freezes. 90 freezes you. You had where'd that go? Back foot slider, 90 miles an hour. I mean, that thing just drops right off the table. The thing about a slider is, folks, if you guys aren't, this is my pitching lesson segment right now. A slider looks like a fastball out of the hand, and then because it has especially the only one thing about sliders is sometimes when they spin, the seams will create a dot on the slider. So if sometimes you throw a slider, it'll make a dot, and the hitter can pick that up and either lay it off if they think it's going to slide out of the zone, or it's going to be hittable like a hanging slider or something like that. Nothing nicer than a hanging slider for a hitter to hit, because it just drops right. It comes right into your swing. But Syndergaard was not throwing those. He had a kind of a collection of strikeouts, swinging and otherwise, as he was using. I mean, I don't think he has a pitch that goes under 86 or 89, 87 miles an hour, because I mean that slider's at 90, his fastball at 97, and the changes at 89. So, and that's the thing about it. Basically, he has two pitches that are the same speed that move in opposite directions. So he has a slider that drops and has a sharp bite down and into the left-hander away from a right-hander, and then it has that changeup or the two-seamer, whatever you want to call it, because it's really, I mean, it is a changeup because it is a lot. That's a changeup is pretty something that's like 8 or 9 miles an hour slower than your fastball, which is basically what that pitch is, and it'll run into the righty, like I said. So that's what he's got, a changeup and a slider. So I mean, that's absolutely nasty. He's definitely vying for that Cy Young Award honors this coming season, after coming off a season last year. It was probably but definitely a bit disappointing, as he was not able to finish the season due to injury. If he could stay healthy this whole length of this season, in 2018, long season, I think he's got a very, very good chance, especially to battle with Max Scherzer and the Kershaws and such, who we didn't even talk about. I'll get to Kershaw in just a second here, because Kershaw is, I mean, you talk about Syndergaard, he's a right-hander. Kershaw's a left-hander, and Kershaw has all the same kind of pitches. Got a changeup, got a slider, got a good fastball, got a curveball. I don't know. I haven't even seen Syndergaard throw a curveball yet. I mean, he's basically all this. I mean, look at that 89 mile an hour changeup running away from a lefty. When that looks like it's coming around well, you got two strikes. You got to protect, folks. I mean, when you're a major league hitter, you got two strikes against Syndergaard. You got to be ready to swing. He's got a lot of guys with these looking fastballs because they're not expecting fastball with two strikes. But then he throws this changeup that just absolutely dives out of the zone, making guys just lunge and look silly when they're swinging. So, I mean, you got to definitely be wary and maybe get him early in the count, because, he's nasty. I mean, how did they even score their one run off of him? Did he give up a home run? No. One earned run was on a two runs scored on a throwing error. Okay, well, one of them was earned because he allowed that guy to get on base. I don't know why both of them weren't unearned. But yeah, no, 2 runs, both of Milwaukee's runs were scored on a throwing error. That's how you score against pitchers like that. Or you maybe stun them early in the count with a fastball that you get like first pitch or second pitch and you hit it over the fence. So, I mean, he's not going to get touched up for they're not going to string any hits together or anything like that, because that's just very difficult to do against a guy who's throwing pitches like that. I mean, go watch the highlights of Syndergaard, and if all you young pitchers out there, go take a page out of his book when it comes to mixing. He's only throwing 3 pitches. That's it, just 3: fastball, slider, changeup. That's all you really need when you're throwing. You got stuff like that when you got a slider that absolutely disappears. It looks like it's coming into the zone knee high. Right on the inside corner, right even down the middle, knee high, and then just it's at your back foot, and you already swing. Sorry, thanks for playing. Try again next time. Same thing with this. If you're a righty, the changeup basically does the same thing. Like I said, it's like a left-handed slider. It'll come in right on the bottom part of the strike zone, and then just disappear. Back to your back foot. I mean, they were showing a little highlight of the catcher even trying to catch these pitches he's throwing. He can't do it because he's right-handed, and he's trying to reach that glove across to catch that two seam that two-seam fastball. He's trying to catch that glove across, and he almost handcuffs the poor guy. I call it a two-seam because it moves so much, but it's basically a changeup because he throws it at 89 versus his fastballs at 96, 97. I mean, look at that slider. That's dirty. When you can throw a slider like that, where you're throwing it to the back foot like that, and then you can throw it in the strike zone where it doesn't break as much. You can control that break of that slider. That means you're pitching pretty well. So he was pretty much on yesterday, except he just got that pitch count up a bit too much. All those strikeouts, they will run your pitch count up. All right, as we come to the end of this segment about nasty pitchers, we're forgetting one nasty pitcher who actually did pitch yesterday. I didn't get to him in the first segment because I was just babbling on for so long. But yesterday he got his first win of the season, Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers. He struck out 12, so not to be outdone by Noah Sydergaard. Went 7 innings, allowed 1 run. On 2 hits, struck out 12. 1 run was the home run by Paul Goldschmidt, and that was in the 7th inning. And then he finished that inning off anyways. Dodgers were up already pretty big there as they beat up on the Diamondbacks. Got their first win in 11 try after 11 losses in a row to the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers got a win in the finale of that series in Dodger Stadium, Chavez Ravine. So if you're Clayton Kershaw, I mean, you can look at his stats too. It's the same kind of thing you'll see with Syndergaard, but it's on the left side. And Noah's got a very orthodox delivery, just kind of a drop and drive guy where he's going to come around, drops that ball down, comes to slingshots over. Versus Clayton Kershaw, he messes with your timing. He's not only does he have nasty stuff, he messes with your timing. And I said drop and drive, which means you collapse your back leg and you're going to drive off that back leg. Kershaw does that and some. He will lift his leg, and then his front leg will come down to the ground, and almost his front cleat, his right foot, will almost brush the ground again, and then he'll come across and throw that pitch. So he's got pretty much all the pitches that Syndergaard has, except he throws a pretty nasty curveball too. I think Syndergaard's got a curveball too, but he wasn't really using it yesterday as an out pitch. He might throw it to start off on at bat just to steal a strike, where you flop up a lazy curveball over the zone, over the end of the zone, over the plate. So, or maybe he just didn't have it yesterday and wasn't throwing it very well. So he just kind of went to those other 3 pitches that were working pretty well for him yesterday. So, yeah, Clayton and Syndergaard definitely gonna be battling it out if Syndergaard can stay healthy. Same thing with Kershaw. He's got some history of back issues. I think Syndergaard had a pectoral issue last year. He tore a pectoral muscle or something, which is kind of tough. I mean, I don't want to mess with. That's kind of a rough injury right there. And then obviously out in DC, we have the 2 guys, Max Scherzer and Strasburg, that we can't forget. So that's pretty much your front runners right there for your Cy Young Award for the National League. Right now, I like Syndergaard though. He's looking mighty good. I mean, he can stay the course and stay where he is. With those pitches and still working the way he is, if he can stay healthy, he's definitely in line for that. All right, so we're going to come to close that segment of nasty pitchers. Basically, talked a lot about Noah Sydergaard and then Clayton Kershaw for a little bit at the end. In the next segment, we're going to be looking out for the next few games before the next show on Wednesday. So tonight's games, tomorrow's games. I know we're going to have an Ohtani sighting tomorrow, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast. Third segment. Oh, this weekend was such a great weekend. I talked about Syndergaard and Kershaw for so long, or not for so long, but just a little bit. That whole segment was pretty much all about them. First segment, I talked about all the different games. I did go over the Cologne and Verlander duel over in Houston, but I mean, I think I still got to talk about that a little more. I didn't really give it its due diligence, so maybe next segment we'll get to the outlook. That's probably a good idea, because the fourth segment's always kind of a up in the air one where we just figure it out as we go, whatever I feel like talking about a little bit. So, I mean, I kind of reshuffle what we're talking about. So this is really a big pitching. I'm talking about pitching a lot on this segment. I mean, on this whole show. This whole show. Like I think I said it in the first inning. I like pitching, and I'm talking about it a lot in the first segment and the second segment. So we're talking about the game out in Houston where we had a battle of Cy Young Award winners. As you know, Clayton Kershaw always comes to my mind when I say Cy Young Award winners because he's won 3 of them. But it's not about him this time. Bartolo Colon, and Justin Verlander, a.k.a. Kate, we know Kate Upton's husband. And then Justin Verlander and Bartolo Colon, there were 2 Cy Young Award winners that went out yesterday and made a little bit of history, or were close to it. Definitely, because Bartolo was definitely on his way to pitch a no-hitter until Josh Reddick broke up the no-hitter right after Carlos Correa was walked to break up the perfect game. So gotta be happy though if you're Bartolo Colon, you're going up against a guy like Verlander. If you were a Astros fan, you're probably like, we got this game in the bag. We're playing the Rangers at home. Bartolo's pitching, but you can't ever doubt Big Sexy, because I mean, he was definitely flirting with a perfect game. I mean, the first time. The thing is, the first time this is the first time we had this kind of age disparity, I think. I'm trying to figure out what I wanted to say here. I'm seeing different stats all left and right here regarding Verlander and Colon. But yeah, they're 9 years apart. Definitely 9 years apart. And there's lots of different games we're going around here where we're definitely, both pitchers went all the way into that 7th inning without giving up a hit. When did the first hit actually happen? I know this is the first time since 1908 where both starting pitchers went 7 2/3 without allowing more than 1 hit. So Verlander may have gotten hit. They may have got a hit off Verlander early, but more than 1 hit. And then you have a guy like another game in '65 where Sandy Koufax threw a perfect game, but then the opposing pitcher was a tough luck loser, only allowing 1 unearned run on 1 hit in an 8-inning complete game. Because I mean, if you're the away team, you're not going to have a guy pitch the bottom of the 9th inning, obviously. So you get a complete game for pitching 8 innings on the road. All right, so remember, just public service announcement. Bartolo Colon is 44 years old and 326 days, so he's very close to being 45 years old. I think that's going to be next month. So or in 2 months, he was going to be the oldest pitcher to throw a perfect game or even a no-hitter. Randy Johnson is the oldest guy. He was 40 years old when he did it, 40 years and 251 days when he did it back in 2004, when he threw a no-hitter for the Diamondbacks against Atlanta. And then you have just more and more news about the fact that this Colon in his age, with the fact that he was able to just keep his things going. I mean, they have like things of him in the dugout where he's just chilling. I mean, this is a guy who he had a play where Carlos Correa had a comebacker right to him and hit his glove, bounced out in front of the mound. He ran after it and made a nice play throwing it. I mean, this is the guy you saw last year who fielded a bunt and threw it behind his back to complete the play. I mean, if you haven't seen that, go look at it. Go look up the Colon behind the back play. So, I mean, this guy's crazy. But if you're the Astros fan, you got to be happy with Justin Verlander. I mean, he's been a guy that you went and got from the Tigers last season. You gave up a bunch of prospects for him. helped win you a World Series. Now he's pitched 15 games with the Astros, 14 starts. He's been very, very good. I mean, sub 2 ERA in over 97 innings. I mean, he's got a 115 to 118 strikeout to walk ratio, and people are only hitting 163 off of him. So you got to be very, very pleased with the fact that Verlander is pitching this way. And I mean, nobody likes a duel more, I think, than Justin Verlander, as he likes to upstage his pitcher. Unfortunately, the pitcher against him, unfortunately, it didn't really happen, as Bartolo, the ageless wonder, as I said, almost 45 years old in himself, was able to outduel the power right-hander for the Astros. I mean, neither of them were given a decision, actually. They both were saddled with a no decision as the game was tied going into extra innings, and the Rangers scored 2 in the top of the 10th inning to win the game. So take the lead and then won the game in the bottom half. So for both pitchers, they didn't have to worry about getting a loss or a win in that one after 2 very, very nice starts. All right, some more stuff, some more notes about Bartolo Colon, oldest pitcher in MLB history. While giving up 1 hitter fewer to pitch 7 2/3 innings. I mean, he just continues to break all these records because, I mean, he just is nasty. I mean, you got to watch the fact that, I mean, like I said, there's a highlight where he just gives even in the bottom of the 4th inning. It's the bottom of the 4th inning. We still got a no-hitter going, but you don't really talk about it until the 6th inning. Carlos Gray hits a hot shot up the middle. Colon drops his glove down, doesn't get it cleanly, but still was able to go get the ball and make the play. I mean, this guy, who's always been known as a little overweight or a little more fun. I mean, and I was hearing on my way into the show today, these different broadcasters talking about the fact that what do players do when they get their first check or start becoming rich if they haven't been rich the whole time. And we have to remember Colon's come out and said that he went and picked coffee beans with his dad and would carry bags and bags of these raw beans and would be that's how he got strong. And then when he was a kid, because he would just help his family in the field, and he'd pitch rocks at the side of a wall or something like that in his native country. So this guy who came for pretty much nothing, and then as a young teenager got in major leagues. I believe he came up with the Indians, I believe. So and he's been in the league for quite a while now. So not shied away from the buffet table, as a lot of people have said. When you get your first paycheck or you start becoming rich after not being rich, what do you go to? Do you go to booze? Do you go to cars? Do you go to bling? I think Bartolo went to the buffet. So, I mean, just no offense to Bartolo, still a great pitcher, still a guy he's a great athlete, can get it done out there. He went up against the defending World Series champion Astros and didn't let him get a hit until the 8th inning. I mean, imagine if this guy threw a no-hitter against the Astros. That would have been the most unlikely thing. If they had a future prop bet for that in Vegas, and if the Bartolo Colon throwing a no-hitter, and I would wonder what the odds were against the defending World Series champion Astros, who have just a lineup that is packed with hitters that can just absolutely rake. I mean, he struck out the defending MVP in Jose Altuve. I believe he struck him out twice in the game. Struck him out looking one time on a nasty two-seamer. His two-seamer is so weird because he kind of slings the ball when he releases it, and it will look like it's kind of going to veer out away, and then just snaps right back in the zone. He's got some great movement, such great control with that two-seam fastball. So if you're the Rangers, you got to be happy with the fact that you signed this guy. See if you can keep it up through the rest of the season. He does kind of have a little bit of he's not volatile when it comes to the pitching. So, I mean, one start he'll get blown up in the last 2 innings. Some starts like this one, he'll go 7 2/3 innings, only giving up 1 hit and walking 1, striking out 7. So, he did give up with a run, though. So did Verlander. Verlander gave up his home run on a home run by Chirinos, Robinson Chirinos. So, if you're matching him. Match. Verlander went 8. And only got one. It's basically, when you say 7.2, for those who don't know, 7.2, when I say that means he got 2 outs in the inning and got taken out. So Just for those who don't understand what those decimal points mean when you're talking about pitching and innings pitched. So, like I say, 7 2/3 innings pitched, something like that. 7 2/3 or 7 1/3. That means he got one out, one of the 3 outs in the inning before he was taken out of the game in the middle of the inning. Versus like Verlander went 8 innings strong. He got the last out in the 8th and then was taken out, replaced to start. The new pitcher started the 9th inning. So they'll let you know that. All right, that'll come at close for this segment. We shuffled around a little bit, talked about the fact that this was an amazing duel out in Texas. I mean, talk about duels. That's where duels should happen, out in Texas, out in the wild, wild west, out in Houston. So that's where it happened, at Minute Maid Park in Houston. Bartolo Colon and Verlander both dueled off, squared off there. And we're both saddled with no decisions because this game went to extra innings, and the Rangers actually got the win in the 10th. So we'll talk about what's coming up for this week in the next segment. I know Monday is going to be a shorter slate of games due to the fact that Monday and Thursdays we usually is a shorter slate of games. The Major League Baseball teams have their off days on Mondays and Thursdays. So I know we're going to have an Ohtani sighting on Tuesday in LA. He's going to be facing off against the Red Sox. We'll be talking about him a lot in the next segment, and the fact that he'll be facing off against probably the first time. I mean, he's faced the A's twice, so, and then he's going to go face the Royals. So, I mean, no offense to either of those teams, but not the best lineups, not the Red Sox. We're not really going to compare them to the Red Sox. This is going to be his toughest test so far in his Major League career. Also, the fact that his starts was pushed back, he's going to have another couple more days to rest, as he only does pitch 1 day a week every Sunday. Maybe they'll make it now every Tuesday. We'll have an Ohtani sighting in Major League Baseball. I mean, you can't keep your eyes off the TV when he pitches. He's a very fun talent to watch. So we'll get to all that and the rest of the games in the next segment. And until then, stay tuned.
Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast. This is our final segment, talking about what's going to be coming up in baseball this week. All right, some series to highlight, as obviously we have the most appealing series to talk about is the Red Sox and Angels series, as they both have gone off to scorching hot starts. Red Sox are 13-2, Angels are 13-3. As we look to the first game of their series, it will actually be on Tuesday. I know I talked a lot about it. Ohtani against David Price for the Red Sox. He actually has had a nice little start to the season. He's 1-1 with the 2.4 ERA. It's going to be an interesting game. Definitely a game that they hopefully put. Well, it's going to be on MLB Network for sure, as they are not going to miss that matchup. Red Sox, not only is going to be Ohtani going up against that Red Sox lineup, it'll be David Price battling him as well, trying to go pitch for pitch. We'll see if Ohtani can match what he did against the A's in his last 2 starts. I mean, remember, he had, I believe, a perfect game going through at least 6 innings before I think Judd Lowry broke that up. He put a perfect game into the 7th inning and struck out 12 against the A's. So it's going to be quite a day in Major League Baseball out there it's going to be a night game. So it's going to be, for you out there in the East, sorry about it. It's going to be a 7:07 Pacific time start. So Red Sox fans, maybe you'll want to stay up for that one. I don't know how they do that out there. How you guys do that out there out in the East Coast when your team plays in California, especially. I mean, this game's 7:07 Pacific time. You got to wait till 10 o'clock. I get mad when I have to wait till 7 o'clock to watch baseball out here. I mean, it's ridiculous. 10 o'clock to watch a baseball game? Jeez Louise, that's rough. Rough. All right, other good series to look at is the Nationals and Mets. They will be facing off again. This time it's going to be in Flushing at Citi Field. Mets they're at the top of the standings in the East, 12-2. Nationals, they're down about 500 right now. They're 7-9. They're squirreling a little bit. I mean, they're sitting right now behind the Phillies and the Braves. I mean, Miami is 4-11, so don't worry about them. But the Phillies and the Braves, they're actually going to be playing each other. We'll get to that. They're going to be playing each other this week as well. We'll get to that series in just a second. But on Tuesday, I know it's going to be. Did they start their series on Monday? We should go back to Monday. We should go to Monday first. We'll start on Monday. Yeah, so the first game's tomorrow. I mean, today. Today, it's going to be Nationals and Mets from New York. Jacob deGrom against Jeremy Hellickson for the Nationals. I believe he makes his first start as a National. He signed on March 17th as a free agent. He was one of those guys who couldn't really find a deal that he liked or wasn't getting any. I'm sure he was getting offers. I mean, this whole season. I mean, Jose Bautista still hasn't gotten a team. Isn't going to be on a team yet. He says he wants to go to a contender though. We'll probably talk about that on the next show. But see what Jose is doing. So it's going to be deGrom against Hellickson. deGrom definitely got hurt last time when a couple of infield hits led to a 4-run rally versus the Marlins, but he fought back to keep his record clean at 2-0. He's sitting at a 3.06 ERA with 18 strikeouts, and then of course he'll be going against a guy who is making his first start with his new team. All right, next series. Well, actually, let's go through this rest of the series. I know tomorrow is going to be Gio Gonzalez and Zach Wheeler. Another nice little start matchup there with Zach Wheeler, the young right-hander, against the veteran lefty and Gio Gonzalez. Gio has had he's definitely been very good in his starts at Citi Field, posting a 10-1 record with a 1.69 ERA. I mean, that's pretty nice. I mean, you gotta like that if you're Gio Gonzalez. Definitely not too shabby right there. Having that kind of record, and then obviously having a sub-2 ERA. But he's been very good against the Mets and keeping their bats quiet. We'll see how he does tomorrow in that game against the Mets. And Zach Wheeler continuing in his off of his season debut after being called up from the minors, pitched well enough to get a win and earn at least one more start. He went. So I mean, I think he was 7 innings of 1-run ball against the Marlins, only allowed 7 hits, and did have a new delivery to reduce stress on his elbow. And that's his problem. He's had to deal with some serious elbow issues due to his delivery that puts a lot of stress on him. He's keeping his elbow. They kind of just tinker with his delivery this offseason, tell him to keep his elbow a bit higher to put less stress on it. As you know, that overhand delivery, that's why you see a lot of pitchers have Tommy John surgery, which is surgery where you replace one of your ligaments in your elbow that's been torn or worn away with a ligament that you don't need that's either in your hand or your foot. They'll take it out of your hand or your foot and put it in your elbow. So that's called Tommy John surgery. You're welcome for that little medical lesson right there. But yeah, no, he's had some issues with stuff like that, and he's trying to keep it away from himself or keep himself healthy with a new delivery. So we're going to be talking about the Mets and the Nationals throughout the week. Probably go over their series as it comes to a close on Wednesday. I'll just let you know who is starting on Wednesday for either team. It's going to be Tanner Roark against Steven Matz. So the back end of the rotation will come into fruition on Wednesday for that finale of that matchup. Unless are they playing a 4-gamer on Thursday, or are they going to have both those teams going to have an off day on Thursday? Nope. Mets are going to Atlanta. So, and then the Nationals have an off day on Thursday. But we'll talk about that on Wednesday when we kind of do our weekly recap, preemptive talk about foreshadow, whatever word you want to use. All right, next series up in the meantime, we have Aaron Nola against Julio Teheran. That's going to be a cool little matchup. Two teams that were thought to be in the bottom, along with the Marlins, as the Mets and Nationals were going to battle it out on top of the National League East. But they're right now in between the Mets and Nationals, with the Mets on top of the division, and the Nationals not so much on top of the division. These teams are right in the middle of them, both sitting over 500 right now. Phillies are 9-5, and they have a good right-hander in Aaron Nola. who will look to make it 2 straight victories after throwing a 1-run, going 8 innings, only allowing 1 run in his last game against the Reds. And then, he needs to watch those walks, though. He's got 7 walks over his last 13 innings, so he needs to definitely watch those walks. And then Julio Teheran is coming off of his first quality start. He's not so good on the first start as he's sitting 0-1, but he did have a nice quality start, only allowing 2 runs over 6 innings. Did get the loss, though, against the Nationals. He has pitched pretty well against the Phillies in his career with about a 3.5 ERA. Continuing on for that series, it's going to be out in SunTrust Park, the beautiful SunTrust Park in Atlanta tomorrow. It's going to be Mike Foltynewicz against Nick Pivetta. Both have had nice starts to their season, sub-3 ERAs. Nick Pivetta he's yet to give up a home run. He struck out 19 guys in 6 2/3 innings in his first 3 outings. I mean, you got to like that. These Phillies, that's kind of the model these days. Braves, both these teams are kind of doing it. They're getting better and getting younger at the same time. I mean, getting younger and getting better at the same time. That's kind of what you want. The model these days for Major League Baseball is to rely on those young arms, young bats, and pick up those draft picks. I mean, I know, or usually make some trades. Atlanta has made a lot of trades lately, been getting some nice players as they continue to work their way back into the talks for the National League East crown. All right, coming up tomorrow, we have our favorite rivalry in the West, in the Central Division, especially the National League Central. It is the Cubs and the Cardinals renewing their rivalry. I know it's not really talked about. It kind of gets overshadowed by the Yankees and the Red Sox and then the Giants and Dodgers, but those are the coastal rivalries. We have our Middle America rivalries with these Cardinals and Cubs going after it on Tuesday. It's going to be Michael Wacha against John Lester on Tuesday. Are they playing tomorrow? Yep, they're playing today too. Starting today with Adam Wainwright and Tyler Chatwood, both looking for their first win on the season. Not the best starts for either of those guys, as they're both sitting at 0-2 with ERAs hovering around 5 right now. So they need to they'll probably get both. Either of them will probably get it going, or we'll see an old-fashioned duel. Who knows what we're going to see? It's baseball. We always like just waiting and seeing what's going to happen, because especially when you got 2 guys who've had good pedigrees in the past of pitching well, but they're going to be on ESPN in the national spotlight today, with Wainwright looking to rebound from his rough debut. I mean, he actually did rebound last time, his last start. So, I mean, thinking about it back, he had a bad debut, but then did bounce back in his last outing, but did not get the win. And then Chatwood was roughed up by the Pirates in his first outing at Wrigley Field, giving up 5 runs over 5 innings. So hopefully they'll be able to get this game in. It is in Chicago. I mean, we know we're having some issues out there in the Midwest area. I mean, all those games yesterday were canceled or postponed until a later date. So as I talk, I will multitask and tell you what the outlook is today for Chicago. There will be snow showers, lovely snow showers in Chicago. It's 28 degrees out there, folks. Hi to all you listening out there in Chicago. Hopefully you have a big coat. I mean, as much as I like the snow, I like 70 degrees here in California, but it's all right. It'll get warm out there eventually. But yeah, no, it's 28 degrees, so hopefully you guys are staying warm out there in Chicago. And we can get some baseball in with maybe, let's see. It says 1 o'clock. It's going to rain. We'll see if they can get the field ready. It's going to be looks like a 6 o'clock, 6:05 local time start. So we'll see if they can get the field ready by then. If there is some weather, or we're going to get another cancellation, that would not be good, as we're already having plenty of them throughout the nation. All right, any other cool little? I mean, we already have one postponement from today. Actually, the Red Sox and Orioles game has already been postponed today because the Boston is nasty right now. Yeah, that's not looking good. And then out in Seattle, I think they're doing all right with weather. We're gonna have Dallas Keuchel. The Astros are going into Safeco Field to face off the Mariners. James Paxton looking to get his first win of the year. So is Keuchel, as they both come in with ERAs over 4. Paxton not so much. He's like 5.74. That's not very good right now, as they're both the two lefties looking to get in the win column for the first time this season. Only one will do it, or neither. You never know with these ways baseball works these days. Dallas is 0-2 with a 4.20 ERA with 13 strikeouts. Paxton 0-1 with the 5.74, like I said, but he's got 21 strikeouts. So that's something to look at right there. It's a nice little silver lining, but he's going to be going up against a tough Astros lineup that just got almost no hit by Bartolo Colon. So they're definitely chomping at the bit right now, going into Seattle and trying to get back in the win column. The Astros sitting at 10-6 right now. As I just will check the weather pretty much for every place. We're getting so many different little things going on right now. Oh, Seattle's raining too. Look at that, and it's going to be raining all day. But there's a roof. That's right. You have to remember, PS, the public service announcement, Safeco Field has a roof. So they'll probably get that game in. They'll be on MLB Network tonight. They'll likely just shut that roof up and play that baseball game over there in Seattle. It is going to be raining all day in the port city. So that's going to be it. I mean, I'm looking at my little thing here, all my notes, all these games. I know we got Reds, Brewers. I don't really care. That's not a thing to write home about. Brewers should be able to take care of the Reds there. They're a better team. And then also some games that hopefully places got roofs. I mean, Pittsburgh, no roof there. New York, we'll see how the weather is there. We're just still dealing with this. It usually happens at the beginning of the year. Lots of inclement weather. We've talked about it a lot throughout the few weeks we've had this show. So I'll sign off for now until Wednesday. We'll be going over the rest of these games and see what happens with this weather and how many games we get in. I hope I want to see that Wainwright Chatwood game today. And then also the game in Atlanta probably should happen. That's going to be a good matchup with Tehran and Nola, and then also out in New York with the Mets. So we'll see if that game gets going as well with Hellickson and DeGrom. It's going to be a good game to watch as well. So until then, we'll have everybody have a good week. Enjoy some baseball. Hopefully stay dry, stay warm out there for those who are in the storms and the weather, in the bad weather. Hopefully you guys have a warm hearth at home and can keep warm and dry. So everybody have a good time, and we'll see you until then.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.